Welcome back to Assetto Corsa for yet another video on the Nordschleife challenge. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video, and we are sticking with a Ferrari. So last time out we had the Ferrari 512 Testarossa. This time we are going to jump forward in time a couple of decades, and we are looking at this, the 2009 Ferrari 458 Italia. This is a mid-engine I believe it's a 4.5 litre V8 producing 562 brake horsepower right up at 9,000 RPM. Now this car has a red line at 9,000 RPM and it creates the power at 9,000 RPM. So this is the kind of car that you want to push right up to its very limit. Also produces 398 foot-pounds of torque, which is about 540 Newton meters at 6,000 RPM. Far more reasonable, much lower, although that being said, a lot of cars that I've taken around produce it much lower than that. To get that power to the wheels, we go through a 7-speed flappy paddle gearbox. I believe it's a Formula 1 style gearbox, dual clutch Formula 1 style gearbox, so paddle shifters, sequential of course, and all that power does go to the rear wheel. So this is a rear wheel drive car, although that being said, because it's mid-engined, it should be very nicely balanced. And of course a rear wheel drive car generally, and I do say generally, tends to be the kind of car that you are after. So that's some information about it. What other information do I need to share? Well, now this is interesting because the mass of this varies. In Assetto Corsa it seems to show it at something like 1.57 tons, so 1,570 kilos. On the Ferrari website it shows it at 1,380 kilos or 3,040 pounds. Again, that is different to what I see on another website, and a different website states this at 1,485 kilos or 3,274 pounds. I am actually going to put it at that particular mass because it seems to be in between, and the Ferrari website does say that the figures that they state is with some racing seats and all of that kind of stuff, which, to be fair, those look like racing seats to me, so this probably should be lighter than it actually is. Tyres on the car are 235/35 R20s on the front and 295/35 R20s on the back. I like it when wheels are the same both sides. So that is all the information about the car, apart from 0 to 60 actually, 0 to 60 and top speed. So 0 to 60 on this car is, I believe, and this is where I need to check a couple of things, 3.3 seconds, something like that, and top speed is, it says, in excess of 325 kilometers an hour, which is about 203 miles per hour. So this is about a mile per hour faster than a Ferrari F40, which is nice, incidentally, because it does have that triple exhaust, which sort of is a tribute to the F40, because the F40 had the triple exhaust. This has a triple exhaust to match that, so it's actually quite nice that the speed is around the same. Up on screen now is going to be the lap times from the last video. So you can see the Testarossa disappointing in 7th place, but I think again we are looking up at the F40 McLaren 570S Lamborghini Diablo territory for this car, although I'm not 100% sure. Again, it is going to come down to how do these street tyres perform with this car, how much grip can I get, how much tyre lockup do I have, things like that. I could very well beat the Ferrari F40, but I may not. Let me know the lap times that you think this car is going to get in the description below right now, and as usual I'm going to be doing a couple of laps that will only be available on Patreon, and what you will see next is, after my practice, some proper laps. Let's see what type of what time I can get on the board. Okay, here we go. Let's see exactly what this car can bring. Now, I've learnt quite a few things about this car in the couple of Patreon laps that I've done. First of all, and because I make a comment on this often, that is why I'm going to make a comment on this now and move forward from there. First off, this car has some fantastically done brakes. The brakes, okay, so I've eased off the brakes to be 80% of their maximum power, and it looks like that has worked perfectly for a car with no ABS or traction control, because I can really press the brakes in pretty hard. You're talking about 80-90% most of the time, and it just goes. So that is absolutely brilliantly done. I'm very impressed with this car's braking capability. I'm also impressed with the way this car drives, just full stop. I've done a lot of sliding around, I've done a lot of crashing on the Patreon laps, just trying to see where I can gain time on this car, where I'll lose time, things like that. And I am really impressed with how this car drives. Like, it just drives fantastically well. There are very few cars that I've raced in the series thus far that drive as well as this, so that already tells you what my opinion is of this car in terms of driver stuff. One thing I will say is that this does seem to be an odd amount of, I'm sure you've noticed, the odd amount of sparks flying. I'm not sure why. It's as if the front splitter or something is scraping against the ground, but I cannot feel it scraping against the ground, so I'm not sure why it is doing that. Right, I am taking it a little bit easy in places, and that is because I'm still not 100% confident on this car. Just because there is a lot of power. I mean, you're looking at, what did I say it was? Something like 562 brake horsepower. So that's a lot of power, and then there's a lot of torque as well. Almost 400 newton meters of torque. So I have to balance that with no traction control and no ABS, but these tires do a phenomenally good job. They really do. And you can see that I'm locking up very little, and where I do lock up, this isn't much of a problem. Now, it could just be that my first lap ends up being my best lap, because I think it'd be at that point where I'm trying to push over 100% on the car, and then things will start going wrong. But I know that there's a lot of time in this car. Again, put your thoughts and where you think this car is going to go in the description box. No, don't do that. You won't be able to do that. Comments box, and we'll see how close you actually get. That was a really bad line. I've taken a few different lines into that corner. 3 laps, 3 different lines. Still haven't quite got it right. So you can see at the moment it is showing 8 minutes 40, but rest assured it isn't going to be an 8 minutes 40. Could have, I think I needed to go slightly wider there to get the maximum out of this. Now, this car can be flat through a lot of sections, although I have learnt that a tiny lift here really does work wonders for the car. So obviously I want to ensure that I'm not spinning the car up and not messing things up. I want to try and get things going in the best way possible. Ooh, okay, there we go. Just on the limit of adhesion. The car just works. It's really agile. It's really nice to drive. It sounds really good. Obviously not as good as perhaps the older Ferraris. I think there's a bit of a muted style in these cars because of the resonators. but it sounds really nice. It does give it a good feel of what you're doing. That wasn't good. I should have braked a lot earlier there. Down to third for this. Let's see what we can do. Didn't really want to touch that curb, but that's okay. There we go. Just fourth gear really works through this section as well. It's nice and easy. Rides the curbs pretty well. Obviously not the largest of curbs. Those ones would be difficult, but some of the flatter curbs, it just eats them up. Like it is one of those cars that's you just take it straight over, and it knows what you want it to do, and it knows how you want it to work. So I'm impressed with that as well. But more so, I think more than anything, it's the brakes that I'm really quite impressed with. The way the brakes have just been working fantastically for me. And a car that I'm confident on the brakes is a car that then subsequently I'm more confident on when accelerating, because I know that I can get this car up to quite high speeds and the car will stop as I want it to stop, and not just have wheel lockup. So this car is a car that inspires confidence in the driver. I think it really does inspire confidence in the driver. Trail braking, as I just started doing there slightly, is also pretty easy to do. See, I've lost some time there compared to what I think I can get. Trail braking is really easy to do in a car like this, but it does have its limits. Even with these street tyres, well, I say with the street tyres, of course it's going to have limits with street tyres. It does have limits, so you do need to be aware of those. But the car is a little bit forgiving. In fact, the car is quite forgiving as you start approaching its limits. So let's see how fast we can get this. I think I managed to reach 187 miles per hour in a practice lap. So let's see what we can do here. 178, 180, 182, 184, 185. Take it through this flat. There's the 187, 188. Just slightly faster. And again, really confident on the brakes, so I can hit the brakes really late, knowing the brakes are going to work for me and slow this car down. Alright, first lap time, 7:49.612. I mean, that was a really, really good lap time, and I felt like it could go faster. That's the other thing. I feel like that can still be increased and improved. So let's see what the second lap time can bring. Not using all of the track there. Pretty much using all of the track there. Slightly on the grass, so I'm going to lose a little bit of time, but that's not too bad. Oh, that's gone. See, that's where I mean that the car can. So there is that limit, as you can see, of adhesion, and it's very easy to see where you're going to get that. But okay, well, we're going to be doing a third lap anyway, because I mean that first lap is already first place. I can tell you that already. For those people who may not remember the lap times, that first lap was first place. So now it's just a matter of, I wonder how much more lap time I can get out of it, because it may be possible to bring it down another 2 or 3 seconds. So let's see, from here we're looking at an 8 minutes 2 right now because of the spin. let's see how that translates. So if I ease off the accelerator here, brake here, turn it in. Still in the 8-minute 2s, so I am going to be watching the clock this time to see where I can further improve. That is slightly, you saw there, so you saw that problem. Let's try and bring it through this without hitting anything. Do not hit that, still bumped it. Okay. So still have to brake fairly early there because I think it's the downhill section that there's some bumps going downhill that catch the car out. So got to watch that. This is almost like you watching a Patreon lap. This is exactly how I do it on Patreon, by the way. I'll look around and say, right, where can I gain time? Where can I lose time? Where should I just try and push that a little bit more and see what I can do? So that was okay, so maybe here there's a little bit to gain. Again, the car's so agile, it slides and it just moves about. Get around that corner, slam on the brakes. How much time do I save there? Almost a second, that looked like. So there might be another 2 seconds in this, just with a slightly cleaner lap, potentially. Even there, that was pretty good. Although that hasn't really gained much. I think in that entire section, I've gained that second back. And for some reason that didn't turn in how I wanted it to turn. So that was interesting. I think maybe just a little bit too much maybe a little bit too much heat in the tyres there, so can potentially do this. And then on the brakes, 5th gear, 4th is probably the gear I want here. I think 4th is definitely the gear I'm after here. And again, there is a way to do it. I can definitely see a way to get that speed in through there, and similarly here. Now I'm going to try one other thing. I'm not sure if the third lap is going to give me the lap time I want, but I'm going to try one more thing. And that is this. How does that work? Potentially a little better. Tap on the brakes, turn it in, nicely on the power again. 4th gear through this instead of 3rd. Looks good, feels better. 3rd gear through this. Again, watching the 4th. 4th gear's, I think, a no-brainer through this. I had it right the first time, so we're going to keep it like that. It's just a better line. 3rd through all of this. Up to 4th, back down to 3rd. We can probably carry a little bit. You can see that there's places where we can carry speed that I did not even know we could carry speed. And that is the kind of things that I'm looking for. So I cannot remember the last time I drove this car apart from this session. It has been a very, very long time since I've drove this car. Now I should be looking at maybe trying to get a better line through that to try and keep some speed up, but then I'm concerned that I'm not going to be able to get the car slowed down enough for the braking with the jump, where obviously the tyre's not in contact with the ground, you are not slowing down. And then this section. In through here like this. 3rd gear, oh, still a bit early on the turn in. just a bit. And Carousel, second one messed up. But still somehow gaining time. Again, I think these high curbs are what is going to be my downfall. Watch the high curbs and we'll be fine. As long as I watch the high curbs, we should be okay. I've got a feeling that this car could probably go 7 minutes 46 potentially. Maybe even 7 minutes 45. Well, it's the end of the reign of Ferrari. Well, I say Ferrari, no, it's still Ferrari. It's the end of the reign of the F40. Slightly better under braking there. Lost it just there at the end, but okay. Let's see what we can do. I have no idea what kind of lap time I'm getting here. I'm just going to try and be as smooth as possible. Try and use as much of the road as I can and just really use the vehicle to its maximum capabilities, because that is something that this vehicle definitely requires. How are we looking? Somehow 1.4 seconds up. Not even sure how. Remember to brake early here so we can bring the car in and keep that speed. That is what I'm after. Slow in, fast out. The concept applies and it works. On the limit of adhesion there, you can just hear the tyres squealing a little, but that was a really nice corner, I feel. Now comes some of the harder parts. So do not mess up the uphill section here. You really want to ensure that your car slows down for this corner, otherwise you are in a whole world of trouble. Okay, same here. You do not want too much speed through this, so nice and early on the brakes so we can turn the car in, make the most of what we get here, and then back on the brakes. Oh, bit of a lock-up. That's going to cost me about half a second in total. Right, but hopefully we can gain that, because last time we had a lock-up through this. Nope, we are losing time. It's okay. I'm not going to worry too much about it. At the end of the day, I'm not here to try and go as fast as I can flat out and just get every ounce of speed out of this car. I'm not capable of doing that. I want to get cars' lap times on the board, which then I can work on trying to improve if I do practice on them. Here we go. Not too bad at all. I do wonder why that sector time, that subsector, always shows as black for some reason. It's as if that sector doesn't exist. Okay, again, I do not mind losing some time here if it means I do not crash. That's the important part. Okay, that was good. That was almost flat. I actually had a little confidence lift there. Obviously you clearly heard the lift there. Oh, that was bad. That was bad. That is going to cost me down this section. Although if I can get it turned in well, right up to the edge and then on the brakes, it might mean I get a different line through here, and that line actually does kind of work. Slightly more power in, trying to keep a little bit more speed in and then power out like that. Not too bad. Okay, remember on the brakes slightly, then we go up. Fifth, you want to go down to fourth here. Oh, this bit of understeer. We're going to compensate for that by shifting down a further gear, losing probably 0.2, 0.3 of a second through that. That's okay. Right, hold fourth through all of this, because that is the gear you want. Had some slight understeer because the line in was wrong. Line out was good though. Down to third, up the hill, aim for the little bit that sort of sticks out. I said this bit that sticks out, I was going to say the rumble strip, but this isn't really a rumble strip. The curb, the flat curb that sticks further into the grass. That is the part I always aim for, even though I cannot see it. I know where it is. So I'm always aiming for that, and that really helps. This car is very, very nice. It's got really smooth power delivery as well. So that is why I like slowing down just a little there. It just gives me that slight better control. Once the car's in the air, you're just slightly slower, so on landing things are just a little bit better, and it helps you all the way down here, to be completely honest. Right, let's try get a better angle in here, that's slightly better, not perfectly great. Very, very slight lockups. Good acceleration out of mini carousel. Watch the slight amount of oversteer as you go over the hill. Down to third, up to fourth, and now we're just going to do that and power out. What's the lap time? 5 seconds gained. I said we'd get a 7:46. We're looking at a 7:44 now. Maybe a 7:45 if I'm slightly easier on the braking, but okay. Maybe this car is capable of doing that 7 minutes 30 whatever, provided you have the right tyres and still being some sort of street tyre. I did not think this car would be capable of such a thing, but it seems like it is. What was that? 7:44.46. Okay, well, I guess that is going up on the board now, and that is going right to the top of the leaderboard. Sorry, Ferrari F40. Your reign is over. Your reign is actually over by, that was almost 4 seconds. That beat that by almost 4 seconds. And I still feel like I could have probably put another second into it. Okay, that is impressive. What we'll do now, so that's already been up on this screen. We'll take that off the screen. Let's go to the driver one, because that, I think, is going to be the interesting one. We knew after lap 1 that this car was going to the top of the leaderboard. I guess I just didn't know how much it would go by. Initially it looked like it was only a few tenths of a second, and then second lap wasn't great, but third lap everything just came together. I'm impressed with that lap. So on the driver leaderboard, we are looking at currently the Cayman. That's the 718's Cayman, Cayman S, sorry, at the top of the leaderboard, followed by the Skyline R34, the BMW M3 Evo 3, that's the E30, then the F40, the 1M, the Lotus Exige, the Diablo, the Testarossa, which, as much as it wasn't a very fast car, it was a very nice car to drive. Then we've got the Skura and the M4. So where does this car go in all of that? Well, it's ahead of the M4 easily. It's ahead of the Exige Skura easily. It's ahead of the Testarossa. Surprisingly, it is ahead of the Testarossa easily. It also goes ahead of the Diablo by merit of just well, I'm not sure what the right term is. It's agility, but also mixed with, you always feel like as you're pushing this car, you can feel the edge of the grip, and it doesn't feel like the car's going to be too understeery, like the Diablo does have that understeer. It feels more like the car's going to oversteer, and that always is a better feeling for a car. It does remind me a lot of the Exige S, which again, I'm going to reiterate, I think is in the wrong place. It probably needs to be higher up. And it does, I think it might just feel better than the M1 Coupe, or Coupe. What it isn't better than, and this is where it isn't better than the Cayman S. The Cayman S was just brilliant because it had that manual gearbox. It had everything that this car is doing, perhaps not as nowhere near as powerful, but it had everything that this car was doing with a manual gearbox, so that just makes it a lot better. The Skyline was similar, and the Skyline just felt like it was just going to go and go and go and go and go. So that is why that one is that high up. The M3 Evo it doesn't feel like this. The M3 E30 doesn't feel like this, but what it does feel like is just an incredibly fast saloon car, and just so well poised. That is why it's up there. So this car, I think, is going... See, now, does it beat the Ferrari F40? That is the big question. It beats it in the lap time, no question about that. Does it beat it in driving? I'm going to say... no, it does not beat the F40. It comes close though. So this car is going to go into fifth place, ahead of the 1M Coupe. There you go. So that is now up on screen. So that has started into 5th place. This is a brilliant car to drive. I've never been a fan of modern Ferraris in a way, barring the LaFerrari, because I feel like the classic Ferraris are just so much better. This might be one of those exceptions. Like, for example, the F430. Not really a fan of the F430, but the Scuderia, which was this car's predecessor, F430 Scuderia, different. I also like the 360 and those kind of cars. I think the 488 is just this car, unless they've made it far better than this car, in which case maybe that would be better than an F40. And then I'm just not sure on some of the cars, really. 812 Superfast, again, it's an amazing car. I'm just not sure about its driving capabilities as such. Maybe that will feature on the channel in a few weeks' time. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on the Nordschleife Challenge and other Assetto Corsa videos that I'm considering and just haven't got around to making yet. I'm just really tight on time, which is why videos are a bit all over the place and on the wrong days. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon at www.patreon.com/ECGadget. Your supports would be massively appreciated. It would really help me out. And also, you can find me on social media at ECGadget LP for both Twitter and Instagram. That is all from me. I will see you next time. in Assetto Corsa for another Nordschleife video, and I'm just trying to figure out what car to take next. Potentially a modded car. Just trying to figure out what I have in my list that will be really nice. If you have any suggestions, do leave them in the comments, and I will read them. If I can find the right vehicle and a quality mod, I will take it out. If I do not forget for next week. Anyway, that is all from me, and I will see you next time.